Welcome to the deep dive.
Hello.
Okay, you might want to put on some protective gear because Port Charles just became, well, probably the most dangerous place on Earth this past week.
It certainly feels that way. Unbelievable chaos.
Absolutely. We are diving into a week of just unprecedented, escalating violence.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got a dead judge and a shot congressman.
Right.
And it's thrown the entire city, and frankly, all the associated global plots, too, into total existential chaos.
It really has tied everything together in a terrifying way.
So our mission today, what we're going to do is take a really high-resolution analytical deep dive. We're looking at the General Hospital spoilers, covering the end of this current week, so September 3rd through 5th.
Mm-hmm.
And then really pushing into that pivotal next week, September 8th through 12th.
Okay.
We're pulling together every available piece of intelligence we can find, confirmed plot points, the strongest leaks, trying to figure out who really benefited from this critical act of violence.
And who pulled the trigger.
Exactly. And maybe more importantly, how this one shooting connects, like 3 crises that seemed separate before.
Mm-hmm.
The really vicious custody battle.
Yeah.
The whole mystery surrounding the International Bureau mole.
Right.
And that weird kind of local kidnapping situation that's been simmering.
It's a lot.
It's not just one crime story, is it? It's this massive interconnected puzzle. And the police, led by Anna Devane, they're looking at a suspect list that seems to stretch across half the town.
It really does. And what's truly fascinating here, I think, if you look at the source material we've got, is how perfectly synchronized this whole catastrophe feels.
Synchronized? How so?
Well, think about it. Almost every major player in Port Charles had an existing, very recent, and often highly publicized reason to threaten Drew Kane.
Okay, yeah.
Whether it was tied to that custody case he was smack in the middle of, or the bribery scandal he was about to blow wide open.
Or just his political enemies.
Or just him being a political target, exactly. So this shooting, it acts like a catalyst,
Yeah.
It instantly turns every single prior character's secret, every angry word, every verbal threat
Into motive.
into immediate, high-priority motive.
Yeah.
And that turns Anna's investigation into this huge conspiracy web she has to untangle, like right now, in real time.
Okay, right. Let's unpack this then, this catastrophic event.
Mm-hmm.
Starting with the actual crime, Wednesday. We have confirmation. Congressman Drew Kane is down.
Yeah, the sources are pretty clear on this. He was shot, looks like maybe 2 bullets hit him.
And the shooter was seen still standing over him, which
Yeah.
sounds, well, chilling.
It does. It sounds like an attempted execution, definitely not just a warning shot or something random.
Mm-hmm. And it's worth maybe taking a second to address those early leaks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the story wasn't always a shooting.
That's a good point. Yeah, there was some initial chatter, some rumors about a stabbing.
Why a stabbing?
Well, mostly because Alexis Davis had recently been seen handling that infamous Cassadine dagger.
Ah, okay. The relic.
Exactly. The one used in, previous mob hits or Cassadine family.
Yeah.
Disagreements. Let's call them disagreements.
Right.
So that was the early thought. But the storyline definitively landed on a shooting.
Which suggests something, doesn't it? Why make that choice?
Well, the analysis suggests the writers maybe wanted to emphasize a political assassination attempt, something less personal, less tied to Port Charles history, and more professional.
More calculated. And that political flavor, it gets kind of amplified immediately by the shadow cast over the crime scene, doesn't it? The name Jen Sidwell comes up.
Right away, yeah. For listeners who might need a quick refresher, Jen Sidwell is known as this dangerous, very high-level political operative.
But cleaner.
Kind of, yeah. Often connected to cleaning up international messes, controlling information flow. So the speculation, and it's strong speculation, is that even if Sidwell wasn't the one physically holding the gun,
His fingerprints are on it.
his fingerprints are all over the operation. Exactly. And that instantly tells Anna and the PCPD they aren't dealing with some, drunken argument gone wrong or even a standard mob hit.
Oh, this feels different.
This feels like a calculated professional setup, designed either to silence Drew permanently or maybe just as effectively send a very loud, very clear message to the rest of the political world.
Okay, but here's where the timing just becomes astronomically bad for 2 other characters. Completely unrelated, seemingly.
Oh, yeah. Trina Robinson and Kai Taylor.
They were there,
Hmm.
not helping, not witnessing intentionally, but caught. Caught while trying to commit a crime of their own.
Their presence is just this massive, almost like darkly comedic complication, isn't it?
It really is.
They were inside Drew's place with one single goal: break into his safe.
And their motive, this is critical, it wasn't about Drew at all. It was entirely about family. about
Yeah.
Portia.
Absolutely. They needed to get whatever was in that safe recordings, maybe documents, digital files, who knows, but evidence relating directly to Portia Robinson's secret past.
Her connection to Trina's parentage, all of that.
All of that. So the moment those gunshots ring out.
Trina, understandably, just freezes. Total panic.
Yeah, but our sources suggest Kai, who tends to be a bit more level-headed in a crisis.
Relatively speaking.
Relatively, yeah. He forces them to stay put, try and keep it together. But this immediately puts them in this awful ethical and legal bind, right?
So go ahead.
They just witnessed a near murder, a federal crime. But if they respond wrong, or if they just flee carelessly, they lose their only chance to get that evidence for Portia.
So that choice, it dictates everything they do next.
It really does. And while it seems likely they were the ones who eventually placed the 911 call, I mean, who else was right there? Their immediate, paralyzing concern, according to the deep dive info we have, wasn't just, oh my God, is Drew okay?
No. What was it?
It was the sudden, crushing realization that the police turning the house into a major crime scene
Seals off the safe.
seals off the safe. Makes it functionally impossible for them to get the evidence they risked everything for. To clear or maybe expose Portia.
Wow. So the attempted murder of a U.S. congressman just completely derailed their mission to solve a family secret?
Pretty much, yeah. Talk about bad timing.
So their main focus is still kind of locked on that family drama, even as the cavalry, Dante Falconeri, Anna Devane, are racing over, responding to this high-priority alert. Gunshots at a politician's house.
Yeah. And we really have to touch on that lingering tension, the big question. Will Drew actually survive this?
Because fan sentiment has been, well, let's say mixed, given some of Drew's recent choices.
Very mixed. A lot of people, both in Port Charles and maybe watching at home, might not be shedding too many tears if he didn't make it.
But the leaks.
But our leaks, and they've been pretty reliable on this stuff, are confident he will survive the immediate shooting.
Okay.
And that's actually critical for the whole long-term plot.
Why? Why keep him alive? If he's such a political target, wouldn't it be cleaner, narratively, if he died?
Well, okay, there's this sort of meta theory floating around that the producer, Frank Valentini, is a known fan of the actor Cameron Matheson and wants to keep him around.
Okay, the torment the fandom theory.
That's the one. Keep him alive just to torment the fandom, as some put it. But beyond that, the narrative insight seems pretty clear.
Which is?
Keeping Drew alive, but maybe incapacitated, recovering slowly, in danger. It just prolongs the agony for every single person involved. If he dies. The custody battle effectively ends, right? The bribery issue might get buried. The police focus purely on finding the murderer.
But alive.
But alive and potentially threatened, he becomes this ticking time bomb. He's a witness who could wake up any minute and name names. It guarantees the drama stretches out, keeps everyone on edge. It creates continuous, agonizing uncertainty.
Okay, so Drew's fighting for his life somewhere, probably in GH. And the collateral damage immediately starts, reshaping the whole landscape. Legally, personally.
Yeah. And the first dominoes, they fall hardest right in the middle of that incredibly volatile custody battle, the one involving Michael, Willow, and the kids, Wiley and Amelia.
Yeah, that whole strategy Michael had built up, relying so heavily on, the stability and the public image of his family.
It just collapses instantly.
Yep.
Under the weight of this new violence, this chaos, it's completely untenable for him now.
We see him just totally unraveling. He's venting hard to Brooklyn Quartermain, just overwhelmed by this double crisis hitting him.
Double crisis being.
The judge in his custody case is suddenly dead. And then, immediately after that, Drew, the one person who knew about and was actively discussing that judge's bribery,
Gets shot.
That sequence of events, back to back like that, it creates this incredibly unstable, legally toxic situation. It just screams mob influence or dirty dealing, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. And that is the crucial risk for Michael. All this high-profile crime, this appearance of deep corruption surrounding his case, it could immediately tank his legal standing.
How so?
Well, the courts or social services could easily look at this whole mess and say, hang on, we cannot risk these children, Wiley and Amelia, being anywhere near this level of violence and criminal chaos.
Right. Too dangerous.
Exactly. So this instability, it potentially puts the kids right back into Willow Tate's desperate fight for custody. It reopens the door for her.
And Michael's reaction to this threat, it's intense.
Very. He tells Brooklyn they're going to do whatever it takes to keep Willow away from those children.
Whatever it takes. That phrase, coming from him, especially now under this much pressure, surrounded by potential murder attempts, it sounds incredibly ominous.
It really does. It suggests he might be completely willing now to cross ethical lines, maybe even legal lines, to protect his family unit.
Kind of mirroring the very behavior he's always criticized Sonny for.
Precisely. The desperation is pushing him into that same corner.
Meanwhile, you've got the Willow faction kind of circling, reacting to this too.
Yeah, we see Lucas Jones, who's connected, right, to both the medical world at GH and the legal community through his family.
Mm-hmm. He's seen warning Elizabeth Baldwin, quite explicitly, not to stick her neck out for Willow. Don't get involved.
Which is interesting. And Elizabeth herself, she's acting a bit suspicious too, isn't she? Asking someone pointedly, where have you been?
Right. And that immediately raises an analytical flag for us, looking at the sources. Who was she asking? Was she maybe tracking a potential suspect?
Like who?
Could be Portia, given her connection to Trina and the safe break-in attempt. Or maybe someone else linked to the custody case, someone who conveniently disappeared right after the shooting. The sources lean towards her tracking someone who might have been suspiciously close to the crime scene when it happened, keeping tabs.
Okay. But the real kicker here, the sort of dramatic irony layered on top of all this fallout, it centers on Portia Robinson.
Oh, it's magnificent, isn't it? In a dark way.
She's preparing to make some kind of massive announcement.
Yes, and the strong speculation, based on the lead-up, is that she's finally ready to confess. To come clean about her past actions, the lies about Trina's parentage, her dealings with evidence. Just get it over with.
Just get it over with. Exactly. Maybe she thinks the coast is clear, or maybe she just can't bear carrying the secret anymore. But the timing is just catastrophic for her plan.
How so?
Well, first, she has absolutely no idea that her daughter, Trina, just risked a felony charge, maybe more, trying to retrieve evidence that could potentially mitigate her actions, maybe even clear her name in some way.
Okay, oblivious to that.
Totally oblivious. And second, she's equally oblivious that the one man who had the political clout, the personal motive, and the proximity to really expose her family secret, Drew Kane,
has just been silenced. Or nearly silenced.
Has just been shot, potentially silencing her greatest external threat forever. Or at least for a while.
Wow. So the very reason she might have finally decided to confess might have just vanished.
Exactly. Her motivation completely shifts, doesn't it? Instead of confessing because she feels cornered, maybe now she thinks she can control the narrative if she confesses. Or worse, maybe she decides to wait. Wait until Drew is permanently out of commission, believing her secret is safe again.
The moment she was ready to jump is the exact moment the ground shifted beneath her.
The universe intervened to change the stakes entirely.
And this whole mess feeds directly into the personal drama, the personal disaster, really, affecting Curtis Ashford.
Right. Amidst all the chaos of a congressman being shot, sirens everywhere, Curtis finds time for a very private, very intense heart-to-heart conversation with Jordan Ashford on Thursday.
Jordan. Okay.
And the consensus from the leaks, the strong suggestion, is that he's finally ready to pull the plug, ready to tell Jordan that his marriage to Portia is definitively over.
And the shooting kind of gives him cover.
It does, in a way. This huge, high-profile crime wave offers him the perfect distraction, doesn't it? He can end his marriage more quietly now, without the public spotlight immediately dissecting the divorce itself. Everyone's focused on the violence rocking Court Charles, not Curtis's relationship status.
Which, of course, sets up the inevitable soap opera path for Curtis and Jordan. They have such a complicated history.
Deeply complicated. So while the source material points towards the marriage being truly over, we're definitely left to speculate just how long it takes for that conversation with Jordan to turn into something else.
A full-blown romantic reunion.
Possibly. Maybe fueled by the sheer desperation and danger swirling around them this week. It's classic soap plotting.
Okay, so as the week pushes forward, Thursday hits. Anna Devane and Harrison Chase, they officially switch gears, don't they?
Yeah.
From just responding to a crime scene.
To running a full-blown political assassination investigation. Yeah, we see an immediate, very clear shift in priorities at the PCPD.
Because they can't just ignore the dead judge, right? That's still a major crime.
Absolutely not. Judge Herron's death is still a clear-cut murder, and it needs solving. But Drew's status, him being a sitting U.S. congressman, that elevates the shooting instantly.
To national security level.
Pretty much. It becomes a matter of national security, political violence. It demands federal attention, or at least intense scrutiny, which means Anna has to act decisively, act quickly, and cover all bases.
And the news spreads fast.
Like wildfire. The sources use that phrase. A violent occurrence rocks Port Charles. It creates this vacuum of terror, this wave of panic.
And, you know, the terror is probably justified for a lot of people because the police suddenly have this mountain of potential evidence. in the form of casual threats.
That's a key point highlighted in the source material. A staggering number of people in Port Charles had recently made death threats against Drew.
Or at least really hostile, aggressive statements, publicly, some of them.
Exactly. Things said in anger, maybe not fully meant, but now those angry words are coming back to haunt every single one of them as Anna starts her interviews.
She has to talk to everyone with a motive.
Everyone. Her mandate is crystal clear. She needs to sift through this massive pool of potential suspects and figure out who is truly at the top, who had the means, the opportunity, and the strongest motive.
And that list is huge.
The sources confirm it's quite long, yeah. It ranges from his known political enemies, like anyone connected to Sidwell,
to intensely personal rivals.
right down to personal rivals. Every single character who recently vented their frustrations against Drew, maybe over the custody case, maybe something else entirely, now becomes a credible person of interest.
Whether they genuinely intended violence or were just, blowing off steam during a moment of high drama.
Doesn't matter now. They're on the list.
Okay, speaking of personal rivals with, let's say, extreme motives, we have to talk about Nina Reeves.
Oh, yeah, Nina.
The sources confirm she takes a big risk in the immediate aftermath of the shooting.
And the dark speculation surrounding that big risk is, well, it's terrifying, but you have to admit, analytically, it's plausible within the show's context.
What is it?
That she might actually try to smother Drew with a pillow if he makes it to General Hospital and seems like he might recover.
Wow. Really? That extreme?
Think about her position. Drew represents an existential threat to literally everything Nina has fought tooth and nail for recently.
Like her marriage to Sonny.
Her marriage to Sonny, absolutely. Her relationship, tenuous as it is, with the children, Wiley and Amelia. Her entire legal standing in that custody battle.
Because Drew could expose the bribery.
Exactly. If Drew wakes up and confirms the details of the custody case bribery involving the dead judge, Nina loses everything. Everything she's built could crumble.
So the desperation.
Her desperation to protect herself, protect her assets, especially given how messy that custody battle already was. It could plausibly push her to consider immediate permanent silence. It's dark, but it fits her recent pattern of high-stakes gambles.
That really speaks to the incredible stakes here, doesn't it? People aren't just yelling threats anymore. They might be genuinely trying to remove obstacles permanently.
It feels like a threshold has been crossed in Port Charles this week.
But Anna isn't just looking at the person who pulled the trigger, is she? She's also looking at people who might have enabled the crime, maybe unintentionally.
Which brings us, very interestingly, to Carly Corinthos Spencer.
Right. Carly, she's shown telling someone and is widely speculated this someone is Jack Brennan.
Based on the background, yeah. That distinctive, very high-end blue office wall visible in the scene, it screams Brennan style.
Okay, so she tells Brennan, or someone like him, that she made a huge mistake with Drew.
Now, this is where the sources are absolutely vital because they clarify something important about how this scene was presented.
What's up?
It was apparently edited specifically for maximum soap opera misdirection. Classic whodunit stuff.
Making it look like she could be the shooter, the congressman cutthroat headline connection.
Exactly. Making it seem like her huge mistake was pulling the trigger. It's the classic red herring setup.
So we can probably dismiss the idea that Carly physically shot him.
I think we can confidently move past that editing trick, yeah. And focus instead on the analytical insight. What was the huge mistake she's referring to?
If not shooting him.
It's almost certainly not about pulling a trigger. It's about some kind of catastrophic strategic failure on her part.
Okay, like...
Well, it likely relates to how she advised Drew. Maybe she pushed him too hard, urged him to pursue that judge's bribery corruption too aggressively, you know?
Putting him on the radar of dangerous people.
Exactly. Exposing him to political retribution from, say, the Sidwell camp. Or perhaps it relates to some secret financial maneuver or a legal strategy she helped execute on his behalf that inadvertently put him directly in the shooter's crosshairs.
So it's a confession of bad strategy, not murder.
It's a confession of a strategic failure that had devastating consequences, yeah. Not necessarily a confession of committing the act itself.
So she realizes that in trying to help Drew, either politically or personally, she might have accidentally set him up to be targeted by professionals.
And that level of realization, that unintended consequence, would be absolutely crushing for her, especially given their history.
Okay, what really elevates this whole situation, this deep dive, beyond just the local Port Charles crime beat, is how quickly Drew's shooting gets tangled up with that ongoing, really high-stakes international intelligence plot.
Oh, absolutely. The timing, again, it just cannot be a coincidence.
It feels deliberate.
It really does. So while Anna and the PCPD are running one frantic investigation locally,
Another completely separate conspiracy thread is tightening up at the exact same time.
exactly, we get Vaughn, remember him, the character involved in digital intelligence, hacking, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
He confirms to Jocelyn Jacks that Colette Moreau is, in fact, the mole they've been looking for at the International Bureau.
Okay, that's a huge reveal.
Yeah.
And it ties directly into Jack Brennan's activities. Right?
Directly. And just to clarify for everyone listening, the Bureau here isn't the local PCPD. We're talking about some higher-level intelligence agency or maybe a government operation that Brennan is deeply involved with.
And Brennan's already getting suspicious himself.
He is. He's shown asking someone, and it seems most likely he's asking Colette if they are eager to see him fail.
Which supports the theory.
It strongly supports the core theory that Colette isn't just a mole. She's playing a double game, actively working to set Brennan up or undermine him somehow.
Conspiring with those other shadowy figures we've heard about. Pascal, the mystery boss.
Precisely. It looks like she's coordinating with them against Brennan.
So how does Drew fit into this? How does his shooting connect to the Bureau mole?
Well, Drew's political status, his role as a congressman, potentially looking into various forms of corruption, that makes him a key crossover point, doesn't it?
Ah, so he might have stumbled onto something.
It's highly probable, analytically speaking. Did Drew, maybe in pursuing one line of inquiry, accidentally stumble upon the mole's operation? Or uncover evidence related to Brennan's or Sidwell's activities?
That makes sense.
So the shooting, therefore, could potentially serve two masters, right? It handles the local problem for people like Michael or Nina Drew exposing the bribery.
And it potentially eliminates an unforeseen threat to this much larger international operation. A loose end.
Very dangerous loose end, yeah. It cleans up multiple messes at once.
And caught right in the middle of this escalating intelligence war, seemingly unable to escape, is Britt Westbourne.
Yeah, Britt is under immense pressure here. The sources paint a picture of just utter desperation for her.
What's she doing?
She's seen trying frantically to stop someone, likely one of the mystery boss's enforcers or underlings, from taking immediate, probably violent, action against Vaughn and Jocelyn.
Why?
It seems like she wants them to wait until Pascal or the mystery boss returns, maybe to give clearer orders or call off the hit. She recognizes the extreme danger Vaughn and Jocelyn are in and genuinely vows to do everything she can to save them.
But the danger isn't just theoretical, is it? It gets real.
It gets very real. By Friday, the sources confirm that Jocelyn and Vaughn are in an absolute panic. That language suggests the threat against them has become immediate and physical.
They're not just pawns in some digital game anymore.
No, their actual lives are explicitly stated to be at risk now. The stakes have jumped dramatically.
And Britt herself, she's tragically compromised, isn't she? She can't just walk away.
She really can't. The sources reveal something quite sad. She's unable to leave or even push back too hard against her handlers because she's dependent on a certain medication.
And the mystery boss is exploiting that.
Seems so. Holding her supply hostage, maybe? Or controlling access, using something over her head, as the source material puts it. This dependency makes her the perfect hostage, in a way, forcing her to comply, even while she's desperately trying to save her friends from afar. It's a horrible position.
Meanwhile, way off in Croatia, Jason Morgan, who always seems to feel the ripples of Port Charles chaos, no matter how far he runs.
He always does.
He gets the news, dead judge, Grew shot. And his reaction is described as stunned.
Which suggests that even that physical distance won't shield him from maybe the shock, that the realization that his family, his connections, the whole city he left behind are spiraling into this uncontrollable violence. Maybe it pulls him back or just reinforces why he left.
Yeah, that's a good question. Okay, and if all that wasn't enough high-stakes chaos for 1 week,
There's more.
we have to pivot back to that truly, almost absurdly timed local side plot. The Rick Lansing kidnapping situation.
Oh my God, yes. Alexis.
Alexis Davis is quite understandably described as shocked when she learns about the shooting and the subsequent fallout on Friday.
Shocked about the shooting or shocked about her own situation in light of the shooting?
Probably both, because this is where the dramatic timing becomes both completely catastrophic for her and, honestly, darkly comedic for us watching.
How so?
Well, Alexis is this high-powered attorney, right?
Yeah.
She's probably juggling frantic calls from clients, freaking out about these 2 potential political assassinations rocking the city.
And meanwhile,
And meanwhile, she has her own ex-husband, Rick Lansing, illegally tied up in her basement.
Which is not ideal when the police are on high alert.
Not ideal at all. She is now facing the very real, very terrifying possibility that Anna and Dante might show up at her door, wanting to question her, maybe needing to search her property for clues related to the congressman's shooting.
Oh, absolutely. That's a nightmare scenario. The absolute last thing any lawyer, especially Alexis, wants when the PCPD is conducting a top-tier, possibly federal-adjacent investigation
Is for them to stumble upon
is
it.
for them to find her missing, presumably endangered ex-husband, who she has illegally restrained, hiding out in the utility room or wherever she's got him stashed.
It's an impossible legal bind for her. She has to perform these incredible mental and verbal gymnastics to keep the police away from her basement.
Yeah. And our sources expect this isn't going away quickly. We should see more upcoming scenes of Rick just raging. That's the word used, raging at Alexis, probably Ava, maybe Christina too.
So this chaotic, almost farcical subplot is going to remain this disruptive landmine right under Alexis's feet, even as the attempted murder investigation dominates everything else.
It's pure soap opera brilliance, really.
Yeah.
High-stakes political thriller upstairs, kidnapping farce downstairs.
Okay, let's pivot back then to the legal chess game that's unfolding, specifically focusing on Willow's position as we hit Friday, September 5th.
Right. She needs legal advice, obviously, given everything that's happened.
So she goes to talk to Alexis, who is, as we just discussed, visibly stressed, probably thinking more about her basement tenant than Willow's custody issues at that exact moment.
You'd think so, which creates this immediate practical problem for Alexis. She has to manage the Rick Lansing secret while still functioning as a lawyer.
How does she do that? Rick's supposed to be Willow's lawyer too, isn't he? Or was helping her.
He was involved, yeah. So Alexis can't just say, oh, Rick's unavailable. That might raise questions later, so the speculation is she might have to offer Willow this highly calculated lie.
Like what?
Something along the lines of, Rick asked me to step in and help you, Willow, because he had to leave town unexpectedly.
Vague. Plausible enough.
Plausible enough for now. Unspecified urgent business. It's a necessary, if flimsy, temporary legal cover. Buys Alexis maybe a few days of breathing room to figure out what to do about Rick.
Okay, but the deeper insight here, the really crucial thing for understanding Willow's mindset now, it relates back to her core motivation regarding Drew Kane.
Yes, this is important. While she might feel, genuine human distress over him being shot,
Of course.
the sources really emphasize that strategically, legally, she viewed Drew as her golden ticket.
Her golden ticket to what?
To successfully regaining full custody of her children, Wiley and Amelia.
Oh, we need to unpack that. Why was he so crucial?
Well, think about it. Drew was basically the only person left standing who had direct, undeniable proof, or at least firsthand knowledge, of the corruption involving Michael and that now-dead judge.
And he seemed willing to use it.
And crucially, he seemed willing to blow up Michael's entire custody case by confirming it all. Drew represented the truth, the key evidence, and Michael's whole strategy was essentially built on concealing that truth, wasn't it?
Right. Maintain the image of stability, ignore the bribe.
Exactly. So if Drew is now permanently incapacitated, or God forbid if he dies, Willow loses that essential witness. She loses the critical evidence she desperately needed to counter Michael's very powerful, very well-funded legal machine.
So her potential grief over Drew, it's tangled up with this catastrophic legal loss for her.
Inextricably tangled, yeah. The personal and the strategic are completely merged for her right now. Her path forward just got infinitely harder.
That distinction feels really important. Her battle shifts, doesn't it? From maybe legal strategy back towards just outright desperation.
It feels like it, yeah. Now, okay, let's look ahead. Into the week of September 8th through the 12th, the investigation really starts to crystallize.
Anne and Chase, they're putting the pieces together.
Right. They will actively, consciously connect the dots between the dead judge and the shot congressman. It's the obvious move.
And when they draw that line, that logical line of inquiry, where does it lead?
Well, the trail leads, almost inevitably, straight back to Michael Corinthos, and probably Sonny Corinthos, too, by association.
Why them specifically?
Because they materially benefited, directly and immediately, from the judge's favorable and likely corrupt ruling in that custody case.
So the police have to explore that angle.
They have to. Logically, they must explore the possibility that Michael, or perhaps Sonny acting on his behalf, took drastic action. Action to eliminate the judge and then silence the person, Drew, who was about to expose the whole dirty deal.
So the custody battle formally morphs into a potential murder conspiracy investigation targeting Michael.
That's exactly where it seems to be heading, which puts Michael in profound legal jeopardy, especially because Willow holds a key piece of information.
The bribery details she heard from Drew.
Exactly. She heard it directly from Drew. She knows what Michael might have been trying to hide.
And the leaks suggest she might use it.
The leak suggests it's highly likely, yeah. Think about her motivation now. Her overwhelming desire to get her children back could absolutely drive her to betray Michael. It might be her only path left.
So she could speak up about what she heard Drew say.
And by doing that, she could specifically implicate Michael, or at the very least, strongly associate him with the corrupt circumstances that arguably led to both the judge's death and Drew's shooting.
Michael must realize this danger. He has to confront the potential reality that his ex-partner, seeking justice for her kids, might be the one to hand the police the very evidence that could destroy him legally.
It's a terrifying prospect for him, which means we should anticipate immediate, intense damage control.
Strategy sessions. Michael and Sonny, probably with Diane Miller.
Oh, absolutely. Sonny's high-powered legal team, almost certainly led by Diane, will be scrambling their goal. Establish plausible deniability, create distance between Michael and the judge's death, maybe try to paint Drew as a victim of his own high-stakes political life, you know?
Make it about the D.C. enemies, not the Port Charles custody fight.
Exactly. Deflect, deflect, deflect. That will be their strategy.
And what about other witnesses, besides Willow?
Well, the question of witnesses becomes paramount, doesn't it? Take Kai, for instance. He overheard Curtis threatening Drew earlier.
Will he speak up?
Maybe not. The analysis suggests Kai might actually sit on that information, perhaps to protect Curtis, maybe for complex relationship-based reasons involving Trina or Portia. It's unclear.
But others might talk.
Oh, definitely. The sources anticipate a flood of other witnesses, all those people who previously made those casual, angry death threats against Drew.
They'll come forward now.
They're expected to speak up now, yeah, primarily to protect themselves. To get ahead of the investigation, make sure Anna knows they heard something or said something they didn't mean before they become suspects themselves.
Creating even more noise and confusion for the police.
Exactly. This chaos of circumstantial motive, all these conflicting stories and minor threats, it's going to overwhelm the PCPD initially, makes finding the real culprit much harder.
Okay, finally, let's loop back one more time to the global conspiracy. What should we expect to see there in the coming week?
We are anticipating a crucial conversation between Marco Rios and Jen Sidwell.
What about,
The focus, according to the leaks, will be on the extreme length Sidwell apparently took to clean up what Marco did.
clean up what Marco did? What does that imply?
That language strongly suggests that Marco Rios, perhaps in handling the initial setup of the political corruption or maybe arranging the custody bribe itself, made a critical error. A mistake.
Left loose ends.
Left too many loose ends, exactly. And one of those loose ends was Drew Kane, alive and knowing too much.
So Sidwell, the professional cleaner.
Sidwell, stepping in as the cleaner, was then forced to deploy extreme violence, which almost certainly means the shooting to permanently rectify Marco's mistake, to tie off that loose end.
Which confirms the attempted murder was driven by a political cleanup.
It connects it directly back to that international web, yes. It wasn't just about the local custody drama. It was about silencing a threat to a larger operation.
Got it. And amidst all this, high-stakes conspiracy, murder attempts, global intrigue, the small personal relationships still manage to progress, don't they?
Always in Port Charles. We'll definitely be keeping an eye on the status of Curtis and Jordan's inevitable reunion now that the Portia marriage seems truly broken.
And Portia herself, now that she's likely isolated.
How might she grow closer to Isaiah Gannon? That seems like a potential development. It just goes to show, even when bullets are flying and international operatives might be calling the shots, Port Charles still demands its romantic drama.
Some things never change. Hashtag take ag outro.
Wow. Okay. This has been an absolutely essential deep dive, I think, into what looks like truly catastrophic weeks coming up in Port Charles. Let's try and quickly summarize the key knowledge nuggets, the main takeaways we've extracted from all this.
Right. First, and maybe most importantly for the plot, Drew Kane is expected to survive the shooting.
But not for his own comfort.
No, specifically to prolong the drama. To keep the agony going for basically every other character involved. He remains this dangerous, possibly incapacitated witness rather than becoming a closed case file.
Okay, takeaway number 2. The police investigation, definitely spearheaded by Anna and Chase, will immediately connect the dead judge and the shot congressman. It's a logical path.
And that path leads.
That path leads directly to Michael and Sonny Corinthos, placing them in immediate and pretty severe legal jeopardy simply because they benefited so clearly from that judge's corrupt ruling. Motive is flashing like a neon sign there.
Got it. And third key takeaway.
The strategic consequences are just massive, and maybe most acute for Willow. She's effectively lost her golden ticket, that crucial evidence Drew possessed about the Prive.
Her path to custody just got way harder.
Way harder. And then there are all the other characters, Carly, Nina, Curtis, maybe others, who now have immediate urgent cause for panic over prior threats they made or actions they took against Drew. They're all looking over their shoulders.
Right. Okay. And that leads us perfectly into our final provocative thought for you, the listener, to maybe ponder. It reflects on the sort of exponential nature of all this soap opera chaos.
Yeah, think about this. The entire foundation for this week's explosion of violence, the dead judge, the shot congressman, it was arguably built upon the initial desperate actions of Trina and Kai.
Their original mission.
Their original mission, which was simply to retrieve evidence about Portia's single private family secret, about her past lies.
So the question to ponder is,
You're left to consider, how many subsequent crimes, including potentially 2 high-profile political assassination attempts, were directly triggered, like dominoes falling, by that initial attempt to retrieve evidence about one family lie?
wow.
That really shows you the exponential, truly catastrophic power of just one secret in a place like Port Charles.